Now, thousands of Gambians today welcomed President Adama Barrow back to the country. President Barrow was forced to leave the country following former President Yahya Jammeh's refusal to step down. Meanwhile, the West African country, which relies primarily on tourism, agriculture and remittances inflows, is set to receive significant budgetary aid from the European Union. Mustapha Njie, CEO TAF Homes, joins us from Abuja for an outlook on the Gambian economy this year. Thank you so much, Mustapha, for taking the time out to join us.
Thank you, Esther.
No doubt a political victory for President Adama Barrow as he returns home today. But of course, he still has to face a number of economic headwinds as he tries to get the economy back on track. There's talk of a huge budget deficit. Of course, we've heard of fiscal slippages in the last couple of years. We've heard of the huge urbanization that has taken place. But on the good side, we've heard about 33 million euros in budgetary aid that will come very soon from the European Union. But in your opinion, where would you like to see the president start?
Thank you very much. I mean, as an economic operator, and I will focus on the economy, we would like to see the president focus on capacity building, structural reforms, and also boosting up the economy in general. There's been a lot of hope, since this new government came to place. And what Gambians are looking for is for him to spearhead and fast-track the economy. So we'll see a boost of economic development in our small and tiny country.
But would you say that they are well, or they have been in the last couple of years, well-articulated government policies, especially fiscal policies? You've talked about capacity building. We know that the population in the urban areas is almost, or at least total population of Ghana, almost 50% of that are already in the urban areas, and that planning is quite poor. And it would just seem that there are so many moving parts when it comes to the Gambian economy. Would you say that he would have to also properly articulate these policies?
Yes, he will. In the past regime, there's been policies, but there's one thing to have a policy in place, but it's another thing to implement it. We understand from the new government that they're going to set up a think tank, who's going to look at different areas, but still focusing on the economy. We expect that they will put in place a policy that is that they will implement in the shortest possible time. So this again will alleviate a lot of economic development.
Still on those policies, in what areas would you like him to focus on to achieve some quick wins? I know that Gambia relies heavily on the tourism and agriculture sectors.
Tourism, obviously, but also focusing on the SMEs. Gambia has a very big informal sector. They need to look at this. They need to promote the informal sector. Incentives need to be put in place where indigents will take the economy of the country in their own hands. In the past years, the economy of the country were not in the hands of Gambians. So there are quite a number of able Gambians who are competent enough to take ownership of the economy of this country. And we expect that this country, the new government, will give the right incentives and pump this money into areas where indigenous Gambians will take charge of their economy to the best of their interest.
I'm just going to also mention the private sector. What role would you like to see the private sector play?
Well, the private sector, again, obviously is the engine of growth of any developing country. And it's quite wide. The private sector will obviously engage in various types of businesses. And as the government will create the environment for people to strive in business, the private sector will get in their different areas and play an effective role.
You're in the real estate sector. Tell us about that for this year in terms of what your expectations are, the kind of growth that you would like to see for the sector this year.
Well, we would like to see reform in the Land Act so that land is accessible and also affordable. And then also governments will put in policies where operators, both in the public and the private sector, can engage in making houses affordable to the general populace, be it those in the civil service or in the private sector. There's a huge demand of housing in the Gambia, like any African country. And there's the need to put in place the right policies so incentives can be given to developers, and also that, housing can be made affordable. Affordability, I think, is the key word, and there's a huge demand for housing for Gambians.
So I know that I was just reading a report this morning by the World Bank talking about the population of Ghana, 2 million at the moment, but there's also been a mass exodus, if you will, of Gambians over the years, of course, because of the political and economic situation in the country. Do you think this will change this year? Do you think that now that there's a new president and the promises is made, do you think that will make those who perhaps had plans to leave, do you think that will make them stay this time?
Well, already it has started changing. I mean, Gambians abroad are coming back in their numbers. Now, if you look at this area where Gambians, there was a huge exodus, a huge brain drain of Gambians, a huge inflight of economic operators, a big brain drain. What it has done for those of us that did this was that we have developed our skills, we have developed our capacity. There's a huge intellectual capacity of Gambians who are living abroad, who has a very positive commitment to come back home and work hand in glove with the Barrow government to develop our country. So I think this is going to change. You're not going to see any more Gambians leaving the shores of Gambia and going abroad, but we're going to see Gambians who are very well committed and highly trained at every level to come back, to work together with this government to develop our country.
Okay, Mustapha, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We appreciate your time. Mustapha Njie, CEO of TAF Homes, talking about the outlook for the Gambian economy. Now, thousands of Gambians today welcomed